Welcome to Two Deep Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast. I'm your host, Pete B. And today I have a very special episode. This is the second annual Friends from College episode. I have some of my friends from college in the waiting room, and we're going to get into some really fun stuff, kind of talk about tech all these years later and their thoughts on the school, the program, and just some fun memories. And so let me, without further ado, add some of these ladies to the screen. Guys might remember Nicole from last year. She is back, and we are back with some new friends. This is Nicole, Emmy, and Myra. And I will, like I said, Nicole was here last year, and it was, I think, technically the second woman we've had on the pod, but the first on YouTube. And let me tell you, there were rave reviews. And so now we had to bring on a couple more ladies. And I actually met Myra and Emmy when they moved into our apartment complex. Mm-hmm. And we thought we hit the lottery, having these like cool girls along with their friend Laura that lived right below us. So welcome, ladies. Welcome, Myra, Emmy, and Nicole. Oh. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you for having us. We are official.
I'm so excited to be here.
And we talked a little bit about this at Emmy's birthday. Your birthdays are very close together, but we celebrated Emmy's last birthday in Blacksburg at the NC State game. And we were like, you know what? We should run back to Friends from College with some new friends. So I've got the quad screen going with all three ladies. And it was cool because not only did we know each other in college, but I got to know Nicole even better once we moved to Arlington. And you guys were living together in Roslyn. And boy, did we have some fun times. But just like our other episodes, I want to kick this show off with a cheers. And I'm going to ask Myra to give us a cheers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, all you folks out there, grab your beverage. Me and Nicole, sporting some high noons here. Whatever you've got, water, pills, pick your poison. Cheers, everyone. As we used to say in college, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
And that was an old kind of thing we did, that cheers, cheers, cheers. I don't know where it came from exactly. I think it originated with Myra, but it stuck.
I think I'm going to take credit for that. But.
So last year, I started the show by asking Nicole how she would describe her football fandom, VT football fandom at this stage in the game, because she's a pretty diehard as far as moms go. All of you guys are moms in various forms. And I just wanted to see, like, do you make a point to watch the games? Does life or kids get in the way? And do you only tune in if we're playing well? And I'll go with Myra first. Like, what's your temperature on Virginia Tech fandom right now? And there's no judgment here. Fans come in all shapes and sizes. Yes.
Well, this fan comes in this shape. I am an absolutely shit Hokie. I am there for the snacks, the outfits, the ambiance. So I'll go if these guys tell me to go. They tell me to watch the game. They will literally, people will be like, Myra, there's a game. I'm like, I knew that. Totally. Of course. But I don't want to say fair weather fan. Orange, maroon, run it in my blood. But I would say I'm a basic fan. Yeah, I should be better. I'll try
a casual is how you put yourself.
Yeah.
And how about you, Emmy?
Pete, I think we've all done a good job, us girls, staying diehard VT fans in the way that we are diehard VT fans, which is like we go to the games and we have fun and we're together and we rock it out here and both in Blacksburg. It's been great. Do I know anything about football and the team? No. But do I care? Maybe a little bit. It helps when we're good, but at the same time, I'm gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun. So
I'm gonna quiz you guys just a little bit later. Very light quiz, very light in terms of football later on in the questioning. And Nicole, I said Nicole's the one that'll usually get us going, right? Like, hey, we got to go to this game, and you pay attention, I think, a little bit more to the actual football and the record and that kind of thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and when we're here, it used to be a really perfect Saturday activity to start the day off. There's a couple Hokies here that we all love. There's fun bars to go to watch. So yeah, I would say, I guess out of the three of us, I'm the biggest fan, but I don't know. Quite a medal to be won.
Well, let's take it back and let's do some fun stuff with memories, so to speak. We shared so many good times, a lot of silly times. You can see I'm being silly right now. I got my Sunday Funday hat. It is Sunday. We are drinking. It is Sunday Funday. And I know I look like an idiot, but that's part of the theme of this show. And whether it was dance parties in the B unit, many keggers, the game day pre-games in the Wharton lot in 208 Wharton Street, or the case race. Emmy,
Oh
like
my
really,
God.
do you remember that case race? Like you dominated. I was actually
I
really
was
impressed.
on a couch yelling at everyone and screaming about how I won. I am not a good winner, but
and you can put down some beer, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But do you guys have a favorite memory from Virginia Tech or Blacksburg in general, or a specific game? And I'll start with you, Nicole.
Okay. Well, again, I wasn't super close with all of you guys during school for games because I had to work, and I think I talked about that last time. So I'm going to go with after. And I'll say that probably one of my favorite memories is the time that Pete, you ended up at Tots, somewhere you probably shouldn't have been. And we all saw the photo of that earlier. And I would say that feeling of we had won, we had walked downtown, we had just sort of gone to our first game all together, the four of us. And it was just this elation of, these are my people, they're my people at home, and now they're my people at Tech. And now I know that forever and ever, we're going to be able to go party down in Blacksburg, have some rails, and have a good time.
Yeah, like the idea of the team being up and being able to leave in the fourth quarter and be like, let's get to Tots, let's get in line and get in there. That is a great feeling, and a moment that we can keep reliving, hopefully many more times in the future. Emmy, what do you got?
A fun memory, I don't know, favorite is tough, but a fun memory of you, actually, Pete, was when we moved into Wharton Street, and we you guys would have these amazing parties, and we lived right below you. And I remember the morning after one of the parties, we were like, that guy Pete, like, did you see him dancing? Like, you were just always dancing, and you were really good, and we'd all be like, wow. He's really
too
good dancer.
Kind, Emmy. You are too kind.
No, but like that's like how we remembered. It's how we met you. Is your dancing? Like you were.
I like to be inebriated, and I like to let the rhythm move me. And I know Myra was like that as well, because she was a dancer along with Nicole. You guys were both on dance company at Virginia Tech. And Myra, what some memories that you might have from back in the day?
Too many to count, but similar to Emmy, I would say my memories just encompass when we would go to bars, and I feel like Pete and I would look at each other and be like, and we just knew, okay, Britney Spears is on, we're gonna just shut down the dance floor, and we would intuitively create this choreographed dance and just be like look at each other, and we knew that we were just gonna push everyone off the dance floor and somehow make this a Pete and Myra show.
Yeah,
which
and whether
this happened a lot.
Whether it was there or Union Jackson, Arlington, or something like me and Nicole, me and you, I mean, whoever it might be, there was a lot of dancing that went on with our crew in general. You guys would hit up Woody's back in the day, right? Shut it down. Because you were 1 year ahead of me, so you guys all turned 21 a year earlier, and we were able to do some of that stuff. And man, some really great times at the complex downtown. And let's talk about that. Going out in Blacksburg, what is your favorite place to go out, Emmy? Like whether it's then or now, like what do you typically like to do?
I hate to be basic, but it's Tots. That is the quintessential Tech bar. You can't get any better. It's got outside, it's got inside. Everyone you know is going to be there. I remember, I don't know, I used to go there before I went to Tech with my sister, and she took me to Tots with her fake ID. She passed it back and I got in. First place I ever threw up, like so many good memories there,
Those are the memories that we all cherish. Yes.
And
if you were there before, like weren't the rails bigger like than they even are now?
Double. It's not legal anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. I remember hearing that, like they weren't allowed to do it because if you have one, you're over the legal limit. So they needed to like bring it down a notch. Where's your favorite place to go, Myra, when you're in Blacksburg, either back in college or now?
Back in the day, we would, if you recall, we'd leave Wharton Street, we'd pop into Underground, do our double car bombs, really tick off the people there, mosey on down to Sharky's, clear the dance floor, and then try to get into Tots. And do you recall, Pete, the last night of the legal rails or the illegal rails? We went there. I feel like it was us, and we were like, "This is the last night of the 8 to 10 shots."
I
in
do.
one drink.
I have a vague memory of that because
it was
we
vague,
did
yeah.
drink those double rail. I remember drinking, and let me ask Nicole before I tell a story. Nicole, what's your favorite spot?
Definitely Tots. What I will say is a close second for me is Hokie House, because there's just some fond memories at Hokie House, because we could get in there before we could get in at Tots. They were 18 and up. So there was a lot of pressing your stamped hand with someone else's not stamped hand to get the stamp to be able to drink. And
yeah.
So that's a close second for me. They have, some fun stuff there too.
What about Big Al's? I thought a couple of you girls liked the Big Al's scene. No?
I mean, we went, but
yeah, Big Al's was definitely like a
late night.
That was more of a fraternity sorority place, I felt like.
Yeah, athletes were there too. Like the football team would show up eventually there. I would just remember like those stairs. Why is it in Blacksburg, like some of the best bars have these flights of stairs that you can fall down? Because I absolutely bit it coming out of Big Al's a couple times.
Yeah.
Tots too. Yeah.
Yes.
And Hokie House. Yeah.
Yeah. They all have them.
Yeah.
All right. So back when we were in school, there was a couple places to eat late, but usually you had to like order Gumby's over the phone and have it delivered. If there was a late night food spot you could have in Blacksburg, what would it be? Or is it already there now? Because since we've kind of left, there are a few more places. Nicole, what would you want late night in Blacksburg if you could pick a place?
That's such a good question. I mean, I feel like everything we need is there, but Gumby's is gone. And that was a real, do you remember we'd be like, it's Gumby sticks, Pokey sticks, and everyone's like, they're cheese sticks. Like what
Pokey sticks. Absolutely. We crushed those things.
Yeah. I think everything we need is there. I wouldn't change a thing. That giant pizza place is where we usually get late night now, where they have the like pizza that's enormous. And that's where we usually get. I don't know if I'd change a thing. I like my late night pizza.
The thing about Nicole is we all know when she starts drinking, like she's not as concerned with eating as some of the rest of us are.
No.
Like we really want to get after. So Emmy, what would you say if you could pick a place late night to have in Blacksburg? What would it be?
That's such a good question. So I was thinking about it, and I remember there used to be like this little breakfast spot next to remember on Main Street?
I know Myra knows what it is.
Joe's Diner, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Joe's Diner. Yes.
Joe's Diner. So Joe's Diner
that's gone.
is not open late anymore. It's still there, but I don't think they stay open for the crazy crowd anymore. I actually
went late night.
Yeah, no late night anymore for Joe's, but the kids don't know it used to be open late, and now I think Waffle House up the street might be open late. But there wasn't a Waffle House there when we were there. They have Moe's now. They have DP Dough. Myra, if you could pick a place to have late night that's maybe not there or already there, what do you want to eat late night?
Okay, late night we would go to Joe's because I just remember eating so many tots. Just eating tater tots and chasing it with a cheeseburger.
Shaking the ketchup, getting it all over Laura.
Let's just condiments. Ran plenty around there. If you can't do it late night, I would probably save my ranch from Owens Hall because the ranch there is so good. And then I pair it with a chicken sandwich of some sort. I know that's like kind of cheating because if Joe's isn't there, then what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, like a late night Chick-fil-A or something.
We need a sheet. We need a sheet walkable. We got it
because we have 7-Eleven, but if there was a Sheetz MTO late night, that would be
imagine?
Heaven. Oh, you could get anything you could dream of.
All right, because I know, Emmy's a big Sheetz girl, so that
you
would
guys
be...
love Sheetz.
Love it.
You can get everything there, especially in Virginia. You can get alcohol there too. So
that's right.
All right, what is the move before the game for you guys? You're in Blacksburg for the weekend. Are you doing bars? Are you setting up a tailgate? Are you hoping a different friend sets up a tailgate that you can go to? Myra, what are you doing before the game?
I'm following Emmy and Mungeon around and letting them tell me exactly where to go and exactly where I need to be at. Because I'm, again, a very spoon-fed Hokie. If you tell me I need to be somewhere, I'll be there. But
Turnkey.
I'm not the Sherpa that they are.
Yeah.
I will just
Emmy,
follow them.
Nick.
are you a tailgate girl?
Yeah, we be tailgating now these days. We have a nice start time. Sometimes we get up super early, and that's fine because we're older now. We can handle it. We
Yeah.
get there. Yeah, it's all about the tailgate now, and it's fantastic. We used to kind of jump around, which was also fun. Jump around tailgates, like what friends were doing what, and now we have good friends that do a fantastic tailgate.
I think,
so we're lucky.
Nicole has the hookup, right? With our
Yes.
friends that do that. They have like the lunch pail trailer and everything.
Yeah, Hutch. Yeah, like I said last time, our tailgates have really blown the roof off of what we used to do. Because it used to be you woke up hungover and panicked about finding ice. Like it was always like, where's ice? And it was like, we got to go to the grocery store. We got to figure it out. We're buying too much or too little, and it's a disaster.
Kroger.
But now it's turnkey.
Yeah.
Lucky.
If you're drinking before the game, after the game, whatever, are you beer on game day? Are you liquor? Like what's the drink of choice, Emmy?
Yeah, we're now starting. It's really progressed through the years, honestly. We used to be able to handle whatever. Now you have to be very, very smart about it.
Yeah.
I'd say I kind of start with a mixed beverage, normally a clear liquor mixed with like a seltzer or something like that. Don't want to get too much sugar, and then I kind of progress from there. And it turns into a shit show. Like beer, all that stuff will come later because you kind of get whatever you can take, and then obviously.
Emmy's not picky, which I do appreciate about Emmy. Like we'll be at what is it, Champs late night. It's like the double golden grenades for $6. Like you give me one of those. Myra, what are you drinking on game day? You're a mixer girl, right?
I'm a mixer gal. I love a Bloody Mary in the morning. It's just something about that. You got your veggies in there. You got your tomato. It's basically healthy. But to Emmy's point, we are not young women or men anymore. So we've got to be very careful and strategic. Have some water. Just be smart about it.
Yeah, we should note that like all of us are a lot older than we look, right?
Sure.
Sure, why not? Nicole, what are you doing on game day?
Well, what I used to do was vodka and orange soda, and I got a lot of people in a lot of trouble with that mixed drink. But things have changed, and now, we like bourbon. Emmy and I, we also like a Captain's. That used to be our jam. But yeah, and I'll be honest, I am pushing 42, and I still take airplane bottles into the game. So I'm not afraid to admit it. But
it's nice that Lane has the beer option to buy. Or High Noon,
sure is.
But it's still expensive. Might as well take some airplane bottles in.
Well, it's just the nostalgia of it. I don't know.
Oh, that's more of what it is.
It's like a necessity. Yeah.
I like to stick with my mixed drinks, and there's something, naughty about it. So,
like doing the Wild
that.
Turkey 101 minis.
That's right. Fireball.
I have a great video of Robbie and me at the game, and like I've got a Wild Turkey 101 bottle, and he's doing like, we're dropping the hammer, Harry, from Days of Thunder. But I'm not allowed to share that, I don't think, anymore. Robbie's a professional. Anyway, when you're in lane, is there a spot you want to sit or need to sit? Does it matter to you girls where you are in the game? Is it more of just like, I bought my ticket for the cover charge to the party that is at Lane Stadium? Myra?
Yeah, not picky.
Myra, what do you do? For me, where were we sitting for your birthday, guys?
We were in South End Zone.
Yeah.
Way
up there, which is fine by me. I'm not picky. I think Munjin is fancy pants down there lower when she goes, which is wonderful. I probably would prefer that. But again, I'm a sheep. And if you tell me to go somewhere, I'm going to do it. So I'm happy clam sitting anywhere.
Do we need to Nicole, do you think we need to move over to the West Stands? Like, what's the age that we have to be in the West Stands?
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I used to only sit in the West Stands, and I would see the student section. I'd be like, yeah, but I'm over here where we, sit. So I like sitting on the West End zone because you are right behind the boxes, and then you have still a good view of the game. What's tough about either side is it's kind of harder to see the game. Like where we were for Emmy's birthday was perfect for us. We were a huge group. It was perfect.
We were clowning around. Yeah.
Yeah. It is harder to track the game when you're there. And then we were also right next to the opposing team band. And that was not ideal.
Have you guys heard about the seat backs that are now in Lane this year?
No.
So they installed thousands of backs. Like they installed them onto the current bleachers in West and some in East. Like there's a lot of them. It's because
Love that.
I think some people, especially in West
Amazing.
stands, like people crowd the bleacher because they're in the wrong seats or whatever. So
Yeah.
now it's like, this is my seat. And it's literally like a hard back to the seat. So it'll be a lot more comfortable in certain areas of Lane Stadium this year.
That's great.
Fantastic. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Luxury.
Love that.
Luxury.
What games are you guys hoping to get to this year? I think I just got an email from Nicole asking about Georgia Tech. So that one's on the books.
Yep, that one's on the books.
What are you guys
Myra,
thinking? Myra, are you
come
trying to
on
get in there?
over.
That's weird. I didn't get that email. So
It was a text. It was a
It was a
text.
text.
It was a text.
I didn't get
To a chain.
Yeah, we're aiming for Georgia Tech. It's Halloween weekend, so it's a little tough for some others to go.
Oh.
But yeah, that's what our goal is. That's just how schedules align. And we got plenty of room for you, Myra. You should come.
I
Bring the
will
boys.
Wait, are we bringing babies and stuff?
Yeah.
Have to.
Oh, BYOB? Okay.
Oh yeah,
BYOB.
BYOB, but the B stands for
The B's
baby
have
now.
So Pete, when are you getting?
Well, I want to go to Clemson very badly, and I know Nicole had
Yeah.
been asking or texting about that, and it's technically a sellout. But when the time comes, I will find myself a ticket because that is a 3-day weekend for government employees. It
Ooh.
is, I believe, it's Veterans
That's
Day
nice.
weekend. Salute the troops, and I want to be in Blacksburg for when we take on Clemson because I think there's a chance we might be able to beat them this year. Speaking of other teams in our conference, is there a team you guys like hate the most? Like you think about the teams we play a lot over the years and you're just like, God, I hate that team. Emmy, does any one of them come to mind?
I mean, in school it was Miami, but like since then I feel like anyone that like UVA obviously are
In-state rival.
in-state rival, but I went there, so I don't care.
You went there for grad school. Let's clarify, right?
Grad school. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Obviously not. So like, I don't care about that either. But I really don't like any team that we're playing while we're playing them.
That's fair.
I don't want them to win.
Because I'm just thinking like West Virginia would be on the list, right, girls? Like,
Yeah.
but we don't play them as much anymore.
Right.
Nicole, do you have a choice?
I'm trying to think of in conference. I will say that I was at that JMU game that we lost in the rain, and it was awful. And
That's
I
bad.
don't like what they said, and I don't like how they acted, and I don't particularly care for them anymore.
That's
and
fair.
I was always fair
True.
about JMU, but now
didn't
I
like
don't
them.
know.
Yeah.
The
And it's
truck
funny
stop
because
school.
two of us are married to JMU dudes.
Oops.
We have, me and
us.
Myra have that in common. Myra, is there any team that you just can't stand, like a West Virginia or a Pitt or somebody like that?
I don't care for Clemson. I feel like there was something about Clemson that always bothered me. I don't know what it was.
They beat
but
us in
yeah.
Charlotte that one time we went to the game,
Yeah.
right?
See, I knew it was something, but I knew it was a game. But JMU, I also, because my husband went there, and he will still to this day be like, "Oh, when we beat you," I'm like, "Oh, how dare you!" And I get fired up. I wasn't even there to experience it, mentioned. So it's best that I wasn't there.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's for the best. I nearly got in quite a few fights that day.
Do you guys have, and we're going to get into a couple final things here as we're almost done and we're going to move to the guys that I have coming on, but I've got gear questions, logo questions. Let me just see here. All right, let's do with the logo. Do you guys have preferences? I know Myra's in graphic design, that kind of thing. You can see the VT logos on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. What is your favorite logo? Like, do you guys have like one of these go-to, like I've got Gobbler logos on the screen. I got the traditional VT, the TV logo, as
Hate
some
it.
people call it.
Mm-mm.
You don't
You
like
hate
that?
it?
I hate it.
It says TV. I hate it.
It doesn't bother me.
Wrong
which is weird.
way.
I'm sure with that. But
I
yeah,
don't like it.
I know.
I'm
Yeah,
class-
Pete has one too. I'm not same.
I
Right
like
in the
it
middle,
classic.
VT.
You
Top
just like the
metal.
traditional regular VT.
Yeah, but I
See.
do have Gobbler full body on my car. So
I like
You
that
have
too.
okay, so the Hokie bird with the muscle like standing.
Yeah.
yes.
Those are both traditional, I would say. Like
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
on here.
The
Yeah.
These
one,
logos,
like,
each one of these logos remind me of a time in my life.
I love that.
Because my brother went to tech, so when I was so much younger than him, and so the gobbler, the little sassy guy, reminds me of just growing up thinking I'm going to go to that school one day.
Sassy guy.
And then the sassy turkey, the sassy Hokie.
I like.
And
That's what
then-
we're gonna call him from now on. He's the sassy turkey.
He's so sassy. Look at him with that smirk.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the
Mhm.
classic one that when we went to school was all over everything with the DT. That just reminds me of that.
Yeah, the Yas Queen turkey is the traditional muscled up standing turkey. I like just the head that they've kind of moved to lately. I actually have one of those in our car, but that one all the way to the left, that's gross. Like I do not.
It looks
bad.
phallic.
I see
I don't-
some people
So bad.
wear that, like they get it on the polo or whatever.
Oh no.
And I think one of the companies out there like was producing stuff with that
No,
old
thank
kind of
you.
wrinkly turkey head. Not a fan. The fighting gobbler next to it, when we were the fighting gobblers, like that logo, I love that logo. Like I think that's
do.
really sweet. I hope we put that on a helmet at some point in the not too distant future. When I first got to tech, I really disliked the TV logo because I'm like Nicole, I was like, it just doesn't make sense. Like that, but it's grown on me. And I absolutely love the tech with the Virginia on certain like apparel that I have. I love the design of the Virginia. We wore that on a helmet when Tyrod was in school at least once. And now, and let me show you this. The new uniforms. If you look at these, what do you guys think of the new uniforms, by the way?
Love them.
Me like it.
Yeah.
Love them.
Very nice.
Love 'em. Yeah.
They're very sweet. They're clean. They're like the 1999s, but they have like a few modern touches. And we went on deep on this on a podcast earlier in July. But I'm a big fan of this. But you can't see it because I'm not zoomed in. But on the bumper at the very front of the helmet, it says Tech, which I think is a nice little touch. And that's why when we're playing Georgia Tech later this year, and maybe we'll be there together. We are the Tech, like I hope that people around the country or at least ACC world think of us as Tech rather than Georgia Tech, but they might have a little bit older history than we do, I would say. But
right.
But anyway, that's logo talk. Before we get to the final couple questions, hard stuff. Do you guys, and I'm not trying to make anyone feel a certain, can you name the starting quarterback? Can everyone here name the starting quarterback for the Hokies this year?
Nope. Go. Goodbye.
All right, that's okay. I'm going to introduce you. to him. This is
hello.
This is QB1. This is Kyron Jones. This is what he wore to ACC Media Days. What do you guys think of the outfit?
Love.
Okay, I love
Sexy.
a black tie on a black shirt.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love.
He
Looks
looks pretty
great.
good.
He looks great.
Now, I want to ask you this. Who wore it better?
I don't know.
That's a really tough question.
Your hair like this. Your hair.
I think it was my.
What's happening?
That picture's from
Is that
Big
at
Al's.
Tots? Oh,
That's a Big
Al's,
Al's,
okay.
yeah. And it's so crowded because Big Al's was so crowded every time we were there.
Oh boy.
But I think I buzzed
Sweet.
my head senior year. I'm not sure it was the best look
I
for
don't
me.
remember that week.
You do get points for the NSYNC undershirt. I mean,
Yeah. We were big
That's
pop
really
fans.
good. That's really good.
And Myra mentioned Britney Spears earlier. Like that's what we were doing. But I also have
fantastic.
speaking of old pictures, this was just a
Oh,
little bit of a
Oh,
throwback
goodness.
collage I put up.
Goodness,
You can find
goodness.
Emmy in here. That's actually Emmy. That's you standing with Andrew on his 21st birthday.
Aw.
Nikki, that's you and Andrew. I think just after college. Though
Yeah.
there's a lot of Halloween on here. You can see
Aw.
Lieutenant
Guys,
Dangle.
it was
with
Halloween.
Myra.
The memories.
Yes,
I
and
want
this
to
is
so
point
sweet.
out the gargoyle over there. That
Yeah,
was
so
a legendary.
all of the other pictures involve like you girls, and then that one picture I was like, I'm gonna get a gargoyle shot in here.
Yeah.
Warren Street. Oh, classic.
The gargoyle has lived on. Pete, you remember we did, so Emmy and I do a wine bus for our birthday most years, and we put a keg on one of those buses, and we
On
were
the
doing
bus.
gargoyles on the bus.
Yeah, it's true. And we did, I mean, there used to be after our birthday, we'd keep the keg for an extra day. There was a day with gargoyles in our house,
Oh,
all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
If people don't know what we're talking about, a gargoyle is when you stand on the keg, put your arms out like a gargoyle, and someone holds the tap in your mouth so you can drink for as long as you can. And it leads to some very, very silly pictures.
I really hope these youngins know these important things. Like, we need to teach them.
It's very
Gargoyle.
valuable information.
It is.
All right. So what this is something about the team for 2024. People think we're going to be pretty good this year, whether it's people that talk about the team like me, national pundits, there's some dark horse playoff talk, all this kind of stuff. Do you guys, out of a 12-game schedule, have a record prediction for the season? And, we're talking, I think we go 10-2, 9-3, 8-4, so on and so forth. And Nicole, I'll ask you first.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that last year we did this and you said 6-6.
I did, which was correct.
Which was right on. I'm going to say, let's be generous, and I will say 7-5.
Are you going to 1 game increase?
Yep.
Okay. You're being.
Everybody keeps saying how good we're going to be.
I know.
And that to me,
no, I'm not
that we're going to be
bad. You're being conservative, and I appreciate that.
I went 5-7 last year, so for me, it is a giant increase.
I got you. 2 wins more from Nicole. Emmy, what do you
2
got?
wins more.
I'm gonna go 8-4. Let's
8-4.
Let's go.
Nice.
Why not?
I like it. Yeah, I think it's possible for sure. Myra, what do you got?
9-3.
9-3. That's my girl. I think it's 9-3 as well. Now, sometimes I worry that I'm too close to it because of all the stuff I put in. But I've also, over the years, I've kind of learned the hard way that you need to consistently take a step back. And the schedule sets up nicely for us. And despite me trying to take a step back, I still kind of feel good about 9-3. Like I really do.
I love that.
And think about how great
Yes.
it would be for Virginia Tech to get back to that more elite level,
It would be great. If nothing else for recruiting, it would be incredible. So let's see.
And so last but not least, you guys are all McAdoo's fans, right? You guys love McAdoo's. And it's funny because I think a lot of people now don't have the warm and fuzzies about McAdoo's like people who are our age. Like I really like if you like just from being on Twitter and X or whatever, like I kind of get the feeling people don't like it. There's too much stuff on the menu, whatever. But when you're in town, is a McAdoo's visit almost a necessity?
Every time, Sunday, before you leave.
1,000%. Yeah. If you don't get to it Saturday, it's Sunday before you leave. And for Emmy and I, it's the turkey trot and an extra side of the onion dip. It's no question.
Wow, you even know the order.
Chips or
Myra,
pretzels.
do you know your order?
No, I don't know my order.
Yeah, it's like the menu's too huge. I can never remember what I get every time, but I do like it.
It's all
That's
good.
why you have to have a favorite. That way you know what to do.
Yeah. Guys, next time I'll make a favorite.
Yeah, and I would also say about McAdoo's, if you're there on Sunday before you leave, like it is calm in there. Like it's calm, it's relaxing. Like if you're hungover and feeling a little the scaries, like it's a nice place to be. And
if you have a designated driver, you can start drinking again and just take that right on home.
That's true. Picklebacks for everyone.
Do you guys have any last words before I switch over to some of the fellas?
I did get this Dewey beer in honor of Pete. You're wearing your little Sunday Funday hat.
Oh, and I think Myra and I are matching too with our
You are.
Yeah.
And they're both faded, which is so nice.
I mean, this is OG.
Yeah.
OG. Let's do one more cheers. Thanks, Pete, for having us. That was
Thank you so much. We love you.
We're proud of you.
I love and miss you guys all the time. Cheers. All right, we're going to say goodbye to the ladies. They were great guests, and I'm going to add my gentlemen. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Miss you. All right, let me add the boys. We got...
What up?
Brian is back in the fold. You might remember Brian from last year's show. He helped us out. We got Josh as well in here, and I'm going to add Joey. I think he's here as well. All right, here we go. So Brian and I know each other from the hall freshman year. And I talked about that a little bit last year. We were in Miles Hall together, and Joey was also from that hall. In fact, he was my next door neighbor in the hall. We got to know each other really well to the point that he was best man at my wedding. So Brian and Joey, thanks for being here. And then Josh was a good friend of Brian's. They actually went to high school together. And is diehard Hokie guy, and through Virginia Tech and post into Arlington, Josh, me, Brian, the crew, like we all became good buddies. So, gentlemen, thank you all for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be great. And I see you're all drinking beer, which I do appreciate. That is awesome. If you don't mind, I'm just going to take 1 second to talk about our sponsor. It's Rhoback. You guys probably know Rhoback. They're the performance activewear designed for those who crave activity. Joey craves activity. I know Josh and Brian do too. And if you don't know, there's a huge drop coming to Rhoback this week. New Hokie gear on Rhoback.com. You're going to want to use code 2DVT to get 20% off that Hokie gear because I've seen some of the designs and they're incredible. So make sure you go to Rhoback.com, load up your cart, use code 2DVT for 20% off your first order. If you've already ordered, use a different email. Use your work email. Get around it. You got to come in the back door sometimes. All right. We did intros, talked about Miles Hall, got Josh in the mix, all the good stuff. Brian and Josh, you guys are pretty into the team. Like, you follow the team very closely. You watch just about every game. Joe, I'd say you're more a casual fan historically. However, as the years go by, I feel like you've gotten more into the Eagles. You've gotten more into the Hokies. I'll get texts from you saying, like, what are they doing on this or whatever. And so Joe, how would you rate your Hokies fandom on a scale of 1 to 10 at this moment in time?
This moment in time, probably, I don't know, 7.
That's
That's off the top of my head.
Yeah, because when we were in school, you were probably more about a 3. It was more about, getting in there. Josh, you're a 10.
Oh no, it was a 7.
Yeah, in school, my problem was I was kind of like just couldn't make it to the game because we started cracking beers at like 7 a.m.
That's true.
If I made it to a game, that was a plus. And it's like, oh.
And for me back then, it was, if they lose, like my downtown trip is ruined. And I know, like, that's how Boo Boo would be too. Or I'm sorry, Brian. That's the old nickname. Sometimes it dies hard. He knows that. Inevitably, I'm going to call him by his college nickname. But nowadays, I have found a better balance in terms of when we lose, I can take a more relaxed approach and still have a good time. Like, we lost the NC State game last year. We were all there for Emmy's birthday, and we had an amazing time. It didn't matter that they lost.
When did you start doing this, Pete?
I would say it started maybe 2 or 3 years ago because I know that you've seen.
I'll have to experience this.
Has seen the bad side. But I think basically what I'm trying to get at is Joe embraced the community aspect of Virginia Tech football before a lot of the rest of us. And I think now, hopefully, all of us are there, that going to Blacksburg is more about the community. And Brian and Josh, you guys both have kids. Has that changed your ability to, like, lock into the Hokies? And Josh, I'll ask you first.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I try to as best as I can, but it's hard to be on your phone all the time when you got 2 little guys and a girl. Yeah, I mean, that's still the number one thing I look forward to in the falls, Hokie football, and schedule everything I can around those Saturdays. So, I mean, it's still fun to follow along.
Yeah, you're paying. You know what the score is at the end of Saturday. Yeah. Like, you've not missed the fact that the game happened.
Correct.
Yeah. No. Boo, is that the same thing for you?
Well, I find myself going to all the noon games, the boring Wofford games, and all the other what should be blowouts. So I can't handle a primetime loss, and I'm melting down, and then my kids are melting down. So
yeah, it's hard to take kids to those later games.
The earlier games for sure.
But when you're home, you can put the kids to bed at 8:30 and then enjoy the primetime game, correct?
Yes. I don't miss the games. I have a very very helpful wife.
And are you, when you're home on the couch, what are you drinking for the game? Like, what's your go-to?
Bud Lights.
Bud Lights? You don't do the bourbon during the game?
No.
Not
maybe after.
Okay. Victory bourbon, so to speak?
Yeah.
All right. I'll start with some questions as a table setter here. I asked the girls this: favorite VT or Blacksburg memory? And Brian, why don't you go first?
Man, I was thinking earlier today, and I keep going back to the Belk Bowl. I had season tickets that year, and I got 4 tickets, really good seats, 50-yard line, and I invited my Arkansas buddy Chase to sit with me. And we're tailgating. It's me, Chase, Chris, and his now wife, Lauren. And And I tell Chase before the game, I say, look, you're going to be in season ticket section. Like, take it easy. He's like, yeah, I got you. Well, they're kicking our ass, and Chase is just like being so obnoxious to the point that there's like a fan 3 rows back, and he's like, who brought this guy? And then come halftime, Chris and I convince ourselves, because you and Robbie left. You went to Hooters, and that was
well, we weren't sitting with you guys, but we watched the first half. And listen, he's not here, so I'm blaming on him. But Rob is like, he's irritated. We're getting our butts kicked. He's like, let's go to Hooters. Let's watch the rest of the game there. And I was like, it was cold. I was like, sure, I'll do that. And we were sitting in the Arkansas section, so it absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
And that is a famous story. We left the Belk Bowl, but we did watch the comeback at Hooters and had a blast. Anyway, keep going.
And we said one more. We'll stay until either Arkansas scores again or we just aren't doing it. Yes. After the game, we produced. I don't know how we produced that picture. The amount of beers we had was ridiculous. But after, I got in a fight with Chase at halftime, and then watching us come back and just celebrating and returning the favor. It was, and we don't do that in bowl games ever.
No.
We always blow it at the end. And it was just so much fun to watch. I was yelling at the team at halftime, like, I wasted my time again coming here. And then after the game, I'm like, everybody needs to stay, because that was the year we had all those good wide receivers.
You're talking about, it was the 2016 year, Gerard Evans. We had Isaiah, Cam, and Bucky. Like, it was, and Tremaine, like, he got that big turnover. Like that comeback was absolutely epic.
It was awesome. That's got to be the best memory.
Nice.
There's some funnier memories down at the Sugar Bowl.
Well, the Sugar Bowl,
I won't get into.
They let you buy alcohol in the CVS, and so like I bought like a little bottle of Jim Beam, and I brought it into the stadium and like finished it. So there was a meltdown leaving that last Sugar Bowl after the wrong call on Danny Cole. But Josh, what do you got as a memory?
I was trying to think. It's all good. The Hurricane game, Hurricane Isabel, 2003 versus Texas A&M. That was pretty fun. That was the Hey Lady You Wet Yet game. Everybody's wearing ponchos. And then I was also thinking about when we won the ACC on the road against Miami, and then everybody went downtown, and there was like a parade of cars and people. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome. And then I remember they brought the team back into Castle, and we all went to Castle to like welcome them back from Miami, and like with the ACC champ signs and everything. That was a good memory. Joe, what do you think? What do you got?
I don't know. My biggest regret was not going to the Sugar Bowl with all you guys, though. The amount of stories I heard.
The 2004,
work or something. Yeah.
But do you like just from like the game, whether it's game day or just nothing having to do with football?
Graduation, our graduation party at the end, where all of our families came.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. That was like all my favorite people in one spot, and
everyone was drinking.
My grandma got really disappointed with me, I remember.
Oh, dude, my uncle was doing keg stands. I think.
Yeah, my uncle got the next like keg after that. Remember? And they're like, "Uncle Bobby," and it's like, "That's my uncle."
I remember my mom was like, well, "You got to bring out some vodka for me and Patty to do a shot." Patty is Joey's mom. And I'm like, Mom, only thing in the fridge is pop off. Like, you do not want that. And she was like, just bring it out. Like, the ladies need to do something. We need some vodka. And like, they took that shot. I'd never seen my mom make a face like that. It had to be like the worst tasting thing ever. All right. So that's just a little bit of down memory lane. What are you guys drinking on right now? Like, what's the bev of choice?
I got the Interstellar Burst from Triple Crossing.
Oh, sweet.
Very good double IPA.
Sweet. Josh, what do you got?
You're going heavy. I'm going light. Kona, Big Wave.
Okay. Joe?
I got a bunch of hazy IPAs, but this Tome, I don't know. I go into this one store and I just pull like a satchel of beers, just kind of a grab bag. And this isn't that bad.
I'm having the Garage Beer It's actually its own spinoff now, but Braxton Brewing in Ohio made this beer. Then they spun it off into its own company, and now the Kelsey brothers have bought it. And it is literally just a light beer. It's 95 calories. It's a Miller Lite essentially, and it's good. And I got this one, and they also make a lime, which I know we were big fans of Bud Light lime back in the day, not so much anymore. But this lime is like, it's a little less sweet. Like you can drink this. It's also 95 calories and it's good. And listen, if it's Jason Kelsey's telling me to buy it, I'm probably just going to buy it because he's a
Yeah,
Philly
same
legend.
here.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of Travis, but Jason, I'll listen to what he's got to say. Joe, how do you feel as maybe a more casual fan than the other two guys that how VT is perceived nationally? Do you think people see us as like a washed up program? Do you think they see the VT name come up on the screen and they're like, oh, that's a good football school? Like, what do you think people think about us?
I mean, as far as I can tell, it seems like nobody really thinks of us as contenders right now. But hopefully, we turn it around this season.
Yeah.
When we were in college, it seemed like we were always in the hunt, and it just seemed like there wasn't any way we could fail, and yet we would. But
we found a way.
Leave it to us. We'll figure it out.
I feel like, when we were in school, there were several years where we started off 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. I mean, I know Brian remembers 2003, right?
Oh yeah.
That one ended, I want to say it was like 4 losses to end the year or something like that. And then we did win the bowl game, but we had so much
lost
talent.
The bowl game, didn't we? Didn't we lose to Cal? Aaron Rodgers?
We beat Air Force in one of those bowls, and we lost to Cal in another one. And they were both out on the West Coast, I think. But, Joe's right. Like we were rolling talent-wise back then, and now, what do you guys think our perception is nationally? Do you think that people like they want us to be good? Like, because there are those teams around college football where they're like, when this team's good, the sport is better. Like, Josh, what do you think about that?
No, I mean, I agree with that for sure. Because, it's fun reading all the articles now about, hey, Tech's on the way back. We have so many returning starters, all that good stuff. The last couple of years, more than a couple of years, have definitely not been fun. But I'm the homer that thinks we're always going to win, which is tough. But, it is exciting to see, people, the media get excited for us, with college football, video game, everybody's hyped up about Inner Sandman, more than just Blacksburg and people that went to Tech. So it's pretty fun. I'm hoping this season, turns everything around and gets us back on that upward progression.
Yeah. Brian, does Coach Pry have you feeling like we can get back to that level?
I don't know. I mean, I want to see it on the field. I'm excited that he has a little more energy than what we used to have. But, we've talked about recruiting. We're going to live and die by drones this year. If he has a big year, we're going to be great. If not, Nicole's right with 7 wins. I mean, it is a little more exciting with him there and finishing off last season. I'm a little reserved until I start seeing us win some of those big night games or any game where we're the underdog. That's been missing for a while now.
Yeah, I think Sam said it on our last show. He said, like, we need to do it in one of these big moments. Like when Clemson comes to town in November, we need to step up and win one of those games. And I was going to save this for just a couple questions later, but since you brought it up, Josh, how much belief do you have that Kyron Drones can be that dude for us at QB this year? Like when the chips are down, will he be able to like push us over the top in the clutch? And subsequent to that, does he remind you of any of our past QBs or any QBs in general?
I mean, I think he can, but again, that's just me being a homer probably. But he showed that he could win games down the stretch last year. And I think he's had all summer to mesh with the other players. The wide receiver room is ridiculous, or better than we've had in years. Mm-hmm. I think the team in general is just better. The talent level is just up. How many draft picks did we have last year? 0, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think the talent is getting there. I mean, I'm a Drones believer. I like Pry. I believe in him as well. But, I think we do have to win those big games or nobody's going to take us seriously.
and a good quarterback can put you over the top, for those games that you're talking about. When it's this close and the margin could be 3 points, like having that special quarterback could help you get there. Joey, you watched Drones play last year. He's a pretty big guy, got good running ability. Does he remind you at all of Donovan McNabb? Because sometimes I just get that feeling. And I know we watched a lot of Philadelphia Eagles games with McNabb, but from the body type to the movement, does he remind you of him or anybody else?
I mean, he's definitely got the body type, but I don't know. The ability to throw away games and not.
You're hoping that's not what he has? I mean, yeah,
Hopeless,
McNabb, he won a lot of games, and then Philly has kind of a love-hate with him, which is weird because he did win a lot of games. But as a college quarterback, McNabb was outrageous. I mean, Brian remembers that.
Yeah, he did it to us a lot.
Yeah, in the Dome, which we do have to go back to the Dome this year, which I am not looking forward to.
Have you been to a game up there?
I went to in 2016 when we went up there as 19-point favorites with Gerard and all those guys. We lost.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was there for that.
They beat that ass.
Yeah.
Pardon my language.
That was Eric Dungy or
yeah.
Was that his last name? It was something like that. But yeah, does Drones remind you of anybody, Brian, like playing style wise?
Feel a little bit like Evans, the way he can extend plays. He's too big for I don't really get the comparison with Logan Thomas. He's too big for Tyrod. Probably Evans. That's recency bias. Maybe he can give us a Drunken Miller type vibe. We want to go way back.
Yeah, what when you say that, what was Druck good at?
Running over people.
Yeah.
And throwing bombs. They ran that option perfectly.
Yeah.
Those 2 years. It was fun to watch Drunken Miller just destroy small linebackers.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison. And the one thing with Drones that I'm hoping for, Josh, is that he can improve on that deep ball. Last year, I thought he was pretty good at the intermediate throw, and obviously running the ball. But there's a couple bombs, but I felt like his long ball was a little inaccurate. What did you think?
No, I would agree. I mean, I don't think we've had a good quarterback that's been able to throw a good deep ball since Tyrod. Really, if you really think about it. But I would also say that the wide receiver room wasn't nearly as good at the beginning of the year as they ended really well. They all got better. They played a lot more, and hopefully that'll show this year.
And we're adding Allie Jennings back to that mix because we only got basically one game from him. So I think people they're sleeping on Allie Jennings because he missed the entire year. But adding him to Felton and Lane and what Gosnell did, and maybe Aiden Green stepping up, and maybe something like Chance Wiggins. We don't even know. Fitzgerald. There's a lot of depth in that wide receiver room right now, and I'm very excited to see what Drones can do with it. There's been a lot of talk about realignment this offseason and where Tech might end up, because there's basically these two big boy conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, the ones with the most money, and then the ACC, the Big 12, and everybody else. If you guys could pick where we would land, and it could be any conference, which would it be? Or maybe it's the ACC if Clemson and Florida State stay. And I'll ask you first, Brian.
I hope it's the SEC. I think it'll be the Big 12, which I guess anything outside the ACC would be a positive. But I really hope we can get into the ACC with the SEC with our draw, all the viewers in DC. It's a good market for us. But we'll see. Eventually Clemson and Florida State are going to find a way out of this, and we got to have a landing spot for when that happens.
Yeah. Josh, what do you think about that?
SEC is going to be tough, man. I mean, you look at the standings today and you look at, where some of those teams are going to finish. I mean, I love Virginia Tech, but I mean, we'd be lucky to win 6 games every year if we go to the SEC. So I'm kind of the opinion that I think it's going to be like a wholesale change. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it seems like they should go to some sort of pro model where there's conferences and there's a true playoff, kind of similar to the NFL. It just would make more sense broken out that way.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think about like if we could have a landing spot outside of the ACC, or do you want the ACC to stay intact?
I think we would be good in the NFC East, to be quite honest with you. Like the ability for Tech to play the Eagles would be two juggernauts going at it.
And I would be there. I know we'd be in attendance, but
I don't know what shirt I'd wear. It'd be a toss-up.
Yeah, the thing about the SEC, what I would say with Josh is that like we're getting our teeth kicked in at least half the games if we join the SEC. The ACC as it stands, and if we can just get a little bit better and back a little bit closer to what we once were, like we can compete. Like this year, as soon as this year, people are saying we're a dark horse to be potentially in the championship game. That would not be happening in the SEC, and probably most definitely not happening in the Big Ten either. However, I do think the Big Ten is a big step down from the SEC, and playing the Minnesotas and the Purdues and the Northwesterns, like we can compete with that. I feel like if I could choose, it would be the Big Ten because you're getting the big check from them, and you're not playing Georgia, Bama, LSU, Florida. So that would be what I prefer. But in a perfect world, we just get paid more and stay in the ACC. Like that's really like if the money was the same, like just leave me in the ACC because I like some of the rivalries. The fact that we added these California schools is still just like bizarre to me. But yeah, I think that would be my
all
choice.
Coastal League. Get a West Coast 6 or 8 teams. Get the East Coast and all coastal.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought they might do, Josh, is that like you get 6 teams over there, you kind of play those pods, you have 1 or 2 games elsewhere, and you just play like 10 conference games a year or something. If you have that many teams. And one of these days, and Brian, I don't know what you think about this, like since these conferences are so big, why not have a 4-team playoff in your conference?
Yeah, I mean they'll definitely take the money from that if they can. I kind of feel like unless 2 of those teams are guaranteed for a spot in the big playoff, then conferences would be reluctant to do that and knock out some of their top teams. But they've expanded to 12, obviously, and that's hopeful. And I like to have a little more clarity on who gets, if there's any mandatory, the conference champs get in, or just getting away from.
That is what's happening. So the conference champs will all get in. The power conference champs and the highest ranked 4 conference champions, which are going to come from the power conferences, are going to get buys. So that's locked in, which means Notre Dame cannot get a bye ever because they're not in a conference, at least not in this model. And because the 5th place conference team is going to be a G5 team, and they're going to not get a bye. And that's probably going to be Liberty this year or someone like them, maybe Boise, who knows. But so there is that lock-in. But what I'm worried about is how many at-large spots the ACC would get because of what just happened to Florida State, which I know had to do with Jordan Travis. But if Jordan Travis hadn't gotten injured, I'm still very curious what they would have done with Bama. If they would have left at the SEC out of the playoff, which that's what would have happened if Florida State made it. And so it's interesting. And I'm worried that the ACC is only going to get 1 spot, and it's going to be the conference champion, and they're going to give 4 to the SEC and 4 to the Big Ten. That's kind of what I'm worried about. And it's a good segue to this. This 12-team playoff starts. What are the odds, Josh, that we can make it this year?
I think pretty good. I mean, I would
put a percentage on it.
I'm a homer. I'm going to go 60%.
60%?
Let's do it, man.
That means you're 60% confident we're essentially winning the conference.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
I love
it. All those returning players. Go back in history and look at like the number of returning offensive, defensive players and see how those teams turned out. I know it's a different world with NIL and stuff like that, but it's usually ends up pretty well for those teams. And that's what I'm banking on. That's what I'm putting my money on. I can't bet in Virginia on the Hokies, but let's do it.
Yeah. Brian, what would you say a percentage is on us making that 12 team?
A little less than 60 for me. 10%.
Okay.
I mean, we can afford to lose one regular season game in the conference championship to get in.
Yeah. My estimation would be like, if you win 10 games and one of those games is the ACC title, you're in. If you're not winning the ACC, you probably got to win 11 games to feel confident, which means basically you lost a tiebreaker and then you were in the conference championship game with 11 wins and you didn't win it. But it's tough. Like the ACC teams are going to have extra wins compared to an SEC or a Big Ten to get in. Joe, what would you say our percentage chances on either winning the conference or making the playoff?
I like Josh's 60%. I'll go with that.
You're going to go with that? You trust him. He looks trustworthy.
He looks like he knows what he's talking about. And
So as terms of the position groups, Josh mentioned wide receiver being an area of strength. Brian, like what position group are you most positive about going into this season, other than maybe quarterback? Because I guess you could say quarterback if you want.
The D-line,
yeah,
which is a huge flip from what we've had in the past. And that's what makes this season, I feel like, so exciting, is having all those big boys, especially the tackles. It's going to be really exciting if the linebacker play is solid. We're going to have a tough defense, maybe back to our college years of having negative rushing yards against at halftime. I'm most excited about the D-line for sure.
Yeah, I love the additions we brought in the portal with Peebles and Copeland and even Gilliam from Oklahoma, former local guy who comes back. It's really cool what they've done in the portal the last couple of years, because I just feel like their hit rate has been pretty darn good in the portal. I would say a lot better than some other schools. And you referenced this in our last year's show, Brian. You said like, we were talking about APR and you're like, I'm hoping that he's not just like one of these transfers who plays, but doesn't really do anything. It's like quite the opposite, right? Like Tootin and APR and Felton, like these guys were important.
Right. For sure. They, and Tootin's awesome. He is so fun to watch running into the UVA grass area twice
on the hill. Yeah.
Twice. But the D-line for sure can make the games this year really exciting to watch and get us up to that Josh and Joey's 60%.
60% winning the conference. We'll see how that goes.
And Joe, are you excited about a position group this upcoming year? Is there anything that's titillating you?
Yeah, I'm liking the kickers recently. I think we got a big kick game going on.
We do have 3 kickers on scholarship, and I got
that right.
I'm including the punter.
I got one answer right.
We've got a kickoff specialist and a kicker specialist, and then we've got our punter Peter Moore, who's the team captain. And so I'm excited about the kickers too, Joe, and they don't get a lot of attention. So I appreciate.
I hear that's always good when your team captain's the punter. That's how you know you have a really good football team.
There's data there.
Exactly. I mean, you go back in history, punting is winning if you go by the Iowa strategy. And so let's.
I heard that before.
All right, 2024 record predictions. This is how we're going to close it out. Last year, Brian said 4 wins, and I'll tell you this. Through the first 4 games, he was looking like he was right. And then slowly but surely, we turned around the offense. Drones started for us, and we got better. So now, Brian, I will start with you. What is your record prediction for 2024?
I think 7. I'm going to go with – I had 8. Nicole convinced me. I'd rather keep expectations low and then feel satisfied when they win 10. But I'm thinking 7 for sure.
All right, Josh, what are you thinking?
10-win streak coming back, baby. 10-2.
10 wins. All right. Yeah. How many seasons in a row did we win 10 games? Was it 8?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was from 2004 to 2011, right? Yeah, I think that's right. I like it, Josh. 10 wins, confident. 10-2 is what you're saying. Like you're saying 10 wins in the regular season.
Yeah, let's get it, man.
Do you have a prediction on what one of those losses might be?
No.
Okay. Just because we're going to do something stupid and then we'll beat a good team. We'll lose to a bad team. Joe, what's your record prediction?
Yeah, I like the 10 wins.
Yeah, 10 wins feels good.
Yeah.
Nice round number.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can see the logo on the screen. It's the 10th season of Too Deep. So why not bring us those 10 wins? The 2024 season will mark our 10th season. And I'm going to go 9-3. I said that when I was on with the girls. I feel like 10-2 is very possible, but I can't do it with some of the flaws I saw last year. Offensive line question marks, linebacker question marks. Even though we brought in Brumfield, I'm going to go with 9-3. But you guys were great today. Thank you all for being here. That was a lot of fun. We're just over an hour. Joey, his insight so valuable. Is my best bud in the world. Thank you for being here, Joe. Josh, I appreciate you coming on. I haven't, since you've become a dad, we don't live near each other anymore. It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you again, man. Thanks for being here. And Brian, as always, I'm going to see Brian in a few days because I'm going down to Richmond. We're doing our live event at Ardent Craft Ales in Richmond. It's actually where Brian had his engagement party over at Ardent. It's a special place in all of our hearts. And so we're going to be there from 4 to 7 p.m. next Saturday, 8/17. Come out and join us. Get to meet me, meet Sam, meet Brian. We might do a little recording on location. We'll have some stickers for you, some other swag and that kind of stuff. But you guys have any final comments before I close it out? You good?
You staying with me this weekend?
That's the plan.
Okay, perfect. That was it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's the plan. I want to see the kiddos. I want to hang out. We'll go to a nice dinner on Friday or something.
Still.
And until next time, make sure you are subscribing. Make sure you're rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube, like the video. And until next time, go Hokies.